Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo coin. Now, look, man, we got to dissect this price action. We have to dissect the whole entire Turbo chart because there are some things we have to look at that we haven't looked at previously. First of all, I do want to say that we are below a big, massive zone, right? When we go and look and take this trend line, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we are below a big, massive zone, okay? When we take it from this perspective and we go all the way back when Turbo was little baby Turbo at 0.00061, right? We can see there are multiple points of resistance. We can see, right? Boom, right over here, right over here, right over here in these two areas. Then we have this big main zone, and of course, a rejection we got just roughly 3 to 4 weeks ago. So, yes, we are under a massive resistance right now, right? It's not a coincidence that we have been, struggling to get past this zone, right? Not only that, but if we do go back, let's just erase all of the red dots. We can see that we are also below another massive big zone, right? We are below this, let's just say 0.008 zone, right? We have a huge resistance here, right? Huge, 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 huge. We can see, ladies and gentlemen, right now, in fact, it kind of looks like a reverse head and shoulders, or sorry, just a head and shoulders. We can see we have this big, gigantic head. And of course, we have a shoulder, and then, of course, like a deformed shoulder here, right? But I don't believe that is necessarily the case where, this is a head and shoulders and that we will be heading lower and lower and lower, right? Obviously, if that were to happen, then pretty much something was completely wrong with the cycle. Altcoin season would have been canceled, and things would just end up drastically bad for practically almost everyone in crypto. But I seriously doubt that is the case. In fact, I am still very, very bullish. But look, right? We know we are below this huge zone that I just mentioned not too long ago, but we are also coming to a crucial point right now because we can see in terms of a trend line, we are literally about to start retesting to see if Turbo can hold this current trend line that taps off these April lows and also taps off, these mid-June lows of 0.003, right? We can see that we are going to retest roughly around, let's just say 0.0039, practically 0.004, right? So we are coming to a crucial point. You can see right now that we are currently still in a downtrend with zero confirmation that we are going to the upside. Okay. I know we looked at some certain high probability plays. We looked at a 4 hour order block. We looked at a daily order block. But you got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, you know, estimating and guessing, thinking, we're going to reverse off here is one thing. Having confirmation is another, right? That's why trading is complicated. Some people trade based off probability. Some people trade based off confirmation. Both can work, but confirmation is always going to be king because, of course, that's when you have the confirmation, right? But look, ladies and gentlemen, we did also talk about how, you know, we can have these bottoms over here. We can have this bottom over here. And technically, we can even go as low as anywhere as long as we're above 0.0030, right? As long as we're above this red line, we can even technically go as low as just here, right? And then we can start reversing. The reason why we don't see strong momentum, ladies and gentlemen, is because of this failed rejection back at 0.0054, right? We can see that's where we closed. And we were at one point almost at 0.007. So we did have a huge weekly rejection, which was not ideal, which we did talk about, many, many weeks ago, how we said this 4 hour candle is going to be very, very important, right? Because we had this top over here of this 4 hour and I was saying, right, as the time I was recording, I remember it started to reverse slowly. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, this most likely will come out. By the time you guys see this, you already know your answer. And I said it's super, super crucial to get a closing above 0.0063 on the 4 hour. Otherwise, we are going to be bearish. And look, right, we got the close at 0.0061, so we failed to close higher. And you can see that the rest is history. Okay, that the rest is history. So, you know, that's why technical analysis is king. I don't buy into hype. I don't care about this. I don't care about many things. News is 99.9% of times irrelevant, unless, of course, it's something crucial that could make or break a single crypto, right? Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe ultimately we are setting up to do something kind of like the way we did over here back in 2024. We just kind of go up, sideways, 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 boom, up, sideways, 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 boom, up, right? And of course, the sideways, there's a little bit of sell off, but that's just the way the markets work, right? The markets, last time they had a pump, they were going down slowly, sideways, down, boom, pump. And again, we're kind of getting a similar thing. I overall am still bullish because once again, when we look from this perspective, we can see that we are above a nice support right now, right? And ultimately, we're stuck between two key areas, right? We are stuck between two key areas. And I do believe that, we are running out of time and we are looking to be getting squished to the upside. When we looked at something like the monthly candle for Turbo, it wasn't the strongest, right? It wasn't the strongest, but technically it could be considered enough. And that is still my bias. I do believe that this August candle is going to indicate everything, right? Because ladies and gentlemen, we have these lows over here. On the month, we have these lows over here. And if let's say we close right now, 0.004, I do believe September would be the big rally that would push us through, these big zones and get us even upwards of 1 cent. Okay. So it's very, very important that, we do just survive this August. The 3 month candle doesn't look the healthiest, but usually, you know, the thing is, people, usually the purpose of this type of candle is just to accumulate to push up higher. Okay. Kind of same thing that happened here back in 2024, right? We had May pumps, we sold off a lot. Ooh, fake out, boom, sell off a lot. People thought it's over. And then guess what? We started to rally again pretty much in September, all the way up till mid October. We sold off a little bit. Then we had another huge rally. We peaked at pretty much early to mid December. And of course, the rest has been a sell off and everything kind of got reset over the last few months. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm ultimately bullish. I still believe ultimately the objective is to just ping pong between, let's just say, roughly 0.0034 and 0.007 to then burst up all the way upwards of a cent. Right. The next time I do believe we will burst is going to be very, very strong momentum, is because we're looking to be getting past two very, very important resistance zones. Right. We have this diagonal trend line over here. Once again, we have all of this to kind of break through. Right. So it's not no joke. And of course, we have this horizontal resistance. So it's kind of double trouble for us. It's kind of why we reject it strong. But I do believe the next time we do make an attempt, we will be successful. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is ultimately it. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.